What is up, everybody? This is Steven coming at you from Blast from the Past Reviews. Today we're just doing a chatting, though. We're keeping it nice and light and easy today. So we're not going to actually be going over a movie. That will be for next week when we will be going over, it's my choice, I should know, The Lost Boys. That's right, the 1988, I want to say, classic, The Lost Boys. Let me know if that music is too loud in the chat for you guys. Let me know. I was hoping it would just be a nice little touch music in there. Megan's running a little bit behind today, but that's all right. I'll chat with you guys for a little bit. So today we're going to be talking about childhood adventures, just, going on hikes and playing with friends and going through the woods and all of that amazing stuff. Got a Small Time Republic in the chat. How are you doing today? Let me know if that music is too loud. It should be good. Should be a nice, light little touch. But yeah, childhood adventures, which I think my childhood was kind of I actually got kind of lucky in that the setting where I grew up was very good, very conducive to having fun childhood adventures. I lived in a fairly undeveloped area. We had to take, it wasn't a ridiculous drive or anything like that, but it was like a 20-minute drive to get to the grocery store and, things like that. And there was really only one very small strip mall that had like a Weis, which I don't even know if Weis is really a thing anymore. And then there was a Blockbuster and a liquor store, and that was about it on this strip mall. Might have been I think there was a dry cleaning place on the other side of the Weis, but it was very small. Not a lot of places to go out and eat. So very undeveloped, small area where I grew up, which was actually awesome because, thinking about just the landscape of where I grew up, it was actually a beautiful place to grow up that I totally took for granted when I was a kid. I didn't realize how amazing this area that my parents had tried very hard, and that my dad was having to commute 45 minutes every day to get to work so that they could have this really nice place for me to grow up. That unfortunately I only got to spend 10 years there, and then I moved much closer to Washington, D.C. I was about 10 miles outside of D.C., and it wasn't until I got to there and I got to see what, it was the suburbs still. I'm not trying to say I was in the hood or anything like that, but it wasn't the nicest area to grow up. It was in, if anybody knows, Prince George's County, Maryland, which that place does have a few issues of its own. One year we had more murders than DC in our county, so that gives you a bit of an idea. But nonetheless, when I was very young, from about the age of 02, when I first started forming memories and to about, I think I was 10 or 11. I think I was 11. Yeah, I had to have been 11 because it was after September 11th happened. So I would have been 11 when I moved closer to DC. So I had this solid, formative years of my childhood in, a place that had lots of woods. There was a lake nearby, another pond behind the lake that would, the pond would freeze very well. So I learned to ice skate on an actual pond. Occasionally we could ice skate on the lake, but it was a little bit more iffy there. It didn't get super cold, but with the pond being much smaller, so I got to, learn to ice skate. And there's this huge bowl. So we had literally, and when I say bowl, I mean the landscape itself was shaped like a bowl, and we could see it from my house. And so I got, where I got to grow up, there was sledding right there. Every time it snowed, it was yes, snow day, no school, because the neighborhoods we lived in had these huge hills around them, so that it made it very difficult for the buses to get there. So if it snowed just a little bit too hard, there was no school. The plows couldn't get to us most of the time. So, hey, let me say hi. How's it going, Heron of Alexandria? Heron, hope you're having a wonderful weekend today. Megan will be here in just a bit, just so as you know. But what was I saying? The bowl. Yeah, it was a half mile on one side, and then a 2/3 of a mile hill on the other side of the bowl. And then it kind of leveled out right in between those two. and that's where the lake was. So I had this wonderful place to grow up where there was lots of adventuring and it was very safe too. That was probably the best thing about it, is just how safe it was, especially in comparison to when I moved closer to the city. And like I was ignorant about a lot of the dangers that I really needed to keep up with. Now, I mean, this was the 90s. So the PSAs of like, don't take candy from strangers, watch out for panel vans and stuff like that, I knew about that, but I wasn't as cognizant of how much of an issue certain things like that could actually be until I moved. So I had this, really nice place and I think it aided in my ability to have a lot of adventures. I mean, the place came with its own problems, and like I've kept up with a couple of people over the years from when I lived there, mostly on like Facebook and the like. So I've seen how some of the people I've known, like, I don't know what it is about Maryland, but there's like a huge heroin problem in Maryland. So like even this wonderful picturesque place that I grew up, still like really bad drug addiction made it to there. So, I think it adds a bit of a dichotomy of like when I was a kid, it was just this really cool place that had like big hills and woods and a lake and, all of that stuff. Somewhat isolated, but, still a neighborhood, still suburban. And we had like the smallest house on the street because I didn't grow up like necessarily like destitute or anything like that, but we certainly weren't rich growing up. Like my dad was working in a warehouse at the time, and my mom was running a daycare out of the home. We made ends meet, and it's not like I had to go without any necessities or anything like that. But, I wouldn't get the Super Nintendo until it had been out for a few years, kind of thing. I'm not complaining. It was, especially looking back on it, great place to grow up. But I think that's a good setting for us to, once Megan gets in here, we can talk about adventures we had as a kid. I really miss those woods, and that's something I would like to get back to one day, is having a home closer to, the forest, closer to the woods, because like I'm in a suburb now, and I've pretty much always lived in the suburbs, which is nice, by the way. Any city people out there, I'm not knocking what you like, but I'm just saying I've spent the weekends with my dad in an apartment in the city, spent the weeks with my mom in the suburbs, and let me tell you, if I got to pick one or the other, it's going to be the burbs. I'm taking the burbs every time. Plus, it's just more affordable as an adult, having adult concerns. It's just a much better way to go. Let me say hi to some of the people here in the chat. Daniel, whose name I'm going to one day figure out how to pronounce, because mine screwed up. I feel like I should be able to pronounce that one, but we'll get there. I'll stick with Daniel for now because that's easy enough. Everywhere has a Daniel. But yes, welcome, Daniel. Glad to have you. Doing great. Would be happier if it would be spring already. Oh man, we're coming up on fall. Well, you're off in like Europe somewhere, aren't you? So I don't know what your seasons are like over there. I mean, that's more based upon the equator than, latitude. Is that latitude? Is that longitude? That's latitude. Longitude. I don't know. I'm not that good with geography. I'm American. We don't have to be that good at geography. But yeah, we're coming up on fall. Fall's amazing. Who doesn't like fall? I don't know. Maybe you don't like fall. Maybe it just gets really cold where you live. And in that case, I understand. And let's see. Pretty cold over there. Live in SoCal, where we basically have the same weather year round. I actually kind of like having different seasons. Like I was saying, growing up in Maryland, it's kind of the perfect distance from the equator to have 4 succinct seasons that are separate from each other. And you get a little bit of in between time, but you actually get 3 months of spring, summer, fall, and then winter, and then back into spring again. So yeah, I actually kind of liked that growing up, because it would get warmer in the summer, but not ridiculously hot, and it would get cold in the winter, and we'd get snow. It was sometimes fairly cold, but not like Yukon, northern Canada cold. It was just cold, but certainly tolerable. Now I'm down in Georgia where it's like summer 9 months out of the year, 2 weeks of fall, and then the winter doesn't. Here's the weird thing, and maybe somebody else, if any of you guys live in some warmer climates, maybe you can see if you agree with this. When it is winter, like temperature wise, it's not actually that cold, but because I've acclimated so much to being able to deal with like 100 to 105 degree weather, it hits like 30 down here, which really isn't that cold. I used to live in much colder climates, but it just like it digs right into you. I think it also doesn't help that we have like, even in the winter time, it'll be 30 degrees and we'll still have like 80 to 90% humidity. That cold just soaks right into the bone. It's awful. I don't know what it is. Let's see. Yes, in this undisclosed place. Okay, yes, Daniel lives in an undisclosed place. It's getting colder and colder by the minute. See, we're in the nice, like, in-between spot that doesn't last very long here, that I can wear, like, a hoodie, and that's comfortable in the mornings, and then it'll be, a decent temperature throughout the day. Might get up to, like, 85 or so, not particularly hot. For those of you on Celsius, I think 85, somewhere in the realm of like 32 Celsius. I think. I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm not like a computer or tennis shoes or anything like that. but we got this nice in between phase. Don't know how long it's gonna last, but I'm gonna enjoy it. Our couple of weeks of fall that we get, and then it goes right into just cold and wet. Like, we don't get the snow. There's something about snow that when it actually hits there, things dry up and it's not so bad. We just have cold and wet. Nothing freezes particularly bad. You scrape a little ice off your car, but it's not bad. But it's just cold and wet all throughout all of the winter. And it's mostly miserable, but tolerable at the same time. Let's see. Heron misses the snow. Used to get in Lake Tahoe every winter and ski when you were a kid. Yeah, see, like I had that hill right by literally could see it from my house because I lived on a hill and then the hill continued to get to the bowl. And so I had this massive hill on just one side of where I lived. It was amazing. I remember one year, one of the guys who lived nearby in the general area, not far from my street, he sold industrial tires, like huge tires for earth moving equipment and the like. And so the guy came in with what you could essentially imagine to be like a monster truck tire. And so we got to sled down the hill in this giant monster truck tire. It was awesome. The problem is once it gets to the bottom of the hill, trying to get it back to the top is a little bit difficult. Let's see. Small Time Republic saying that Lake Tahoe is amazing. Lake Tahoe is beautiful. I got to go there once while traveling for business. Yeah, I bet it is. Hang on 1 second here, guys. Let's see.
Hi.
Hey!
Never go out and get food on a long weekend.
Yeah, I forgot it was a long weekend. It's what is it? Columbus Day?
Yes, and
Yeah.
like I don't think about it because I always get Mondays off anyway. So like, anyway.
Yeah, I don't get Columbus Day off, so they don't care about us enough where I work. Yeah, it's all good. We're an industrial part of the business. We have to be there.
Yeah,
right? Like
that makes
other
sense.
businesses are open, we have to be open. Yeah, we pretty much get the big ones. We get 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe like one or two other small ones, but Labor Day. We get Labor Day, Memorial Day.
Yes, yeah. Ooh, everybody's here.
Yes.
I feel like I just got something in my hair.
Oh yeah, that's always the worst. And you're trying to find it, and then it winds up just being like a knot.
No, I think I have boba tea, and like, I think I got boba in my hair.
Like the actual like the
what it felt
tapioca
like.
ball. How do you even do that?
I think it was on the end of my straw, and I was like, oh, wait. I don't know where it is now. It's in there.
Dog will find it. They'll take care of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It's been a day. I'm sorry, Steven.
Oh, you're good. You're good. It has been a day, though. Certainly has. I was just going through the chat saying hi to everybody. See Daniel. Hey, here, since you're being mentioned in
we
this
have
one.
barbecues in the winter in Canada and cookouts. You spend all day outside and we don't care. Like, for real.
I have an uncle who is from Wisconsin, and he was saying that's like a big thing in the wintertime is you'll have like 3 or 4 times throughout the winter because it's so long and you're just snowed in. They'll have these huge parties where somebody will just set up a tent like on top of the snow. No one's going to clear the snow away, and you walk there in your snowshoes, and it'll be like an all day into the night, back into the morning party.
Yeah. You go to the pond where people are skating, or you go to the sledding hill. And a lot of the sledding hills where I grew up, they always had like fire pits and stuff around. People build fires and then cook hot dogs, and you go sledding and come back. Yeah.
Nice.
Make a day of it.
Yeah, I was just telling everybody before you got here, sort of rough idea of the landscape of where I grew up. But there was this big bowl right by, like, literally shaped like a bowl where I grew up that was Half Mile Hill on the side where I lived. So right by my house, there's this huge hill to go sledding down.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
and I had one of those cheap snowboards that it was like very thin plastic that looked like stamped steel. It looked like diamond plate steel, but it was really just plastic.
Yes.
I had one of those that I would snowboard down the hill with.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have like inner tubes and you would just like pile as many people on top as you could? And yeah, so dangerous. We always picked the steepest hill, pile as many people on top, and I don't know how we didn't die because wow. Like you bounce off and you lose people as you're going, and you hit the jump, and everybody's like, because they always build a jump on one side of the hill at the bottom.
Yeah.
But you have to have a jump to hit, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I was just saying, so now I can tell you, but I told everyone else here, there was one guy who lived not too far from me that sold industrial tires, and so he brought this like huge, massive like earth moving equipment tire, think like monster truck tire, and we got to sled down the hill with that a couple of times. The problem is getting it back up the Half Mile Hill afterwards. Yeah, it took like, the kids would go down, and then like 4 men would have to go down and roll it back up the hill.
It's a workout. Sledding is a workout. Because you're pulling your sled up, walking up, and then it's like so fast to get down, and then you gotta walk back up again through the snow.
Yep.
Uphill.
And you put all that work in just to get that, like, depends on how big the hill is, but like anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds of fun.
Yep. So worth it.
And it's so worth it. So worth it. Let's see, Dr.
Hello.
Magicborn. Don't think I've seen you around here before. Glad to have you. Glad you could join us. Let's see. Yes, Canadians don't get cold.
Actually, I'm a very cold person. I'm cold all the time. I just like live in. This is my dad kept the house at 21 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
And I would wear in the winter long johns in the house, long johns under my pants. And then I'd have like a long sleeve shirt with a sweater. And then my mom made these like fingerless gloves. So like your fingers were free, but your hand was covered. And I would always have a cute hat or something. I'm always cold, but you just dress for the weather and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. We do the same thing around here. We keep it warm enough in the house so that like the pipes won't freeze and we won't get sick. Usually we set it at 60 Fahrenheit. I don't know exactly what that would be. I think that's around 20 Celsius, I want to say.
60 Fahrenheit is cold, man.
I mean, yeah. Wear a hoodie. Look, the heat's not free.
I hate when I'm in air conditioning because like I'm all in like sweatpants and I go stand outside and I'm in the middle of Texas. I'm like, now I have to go change.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't keep it. That is a southern thing though, is keeping it like really cold in the house. And then the worst is the wintertime when they keep it really hot inside, at least for me.
Hate that.
Yeah, you go inside a place and it goes from being like, it doesn't get super cold here, but it's like 30 outside. And then you go inside a house and it's like 80. You're like, this is how you get sick. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I got Daniel saying hi to
Hi,
you.
Daniel.
Oh, yeah, Heron doesn't get
Aw.
Columbus Day off either. That's why you always kept your hair shorter. Are you growing it out now? You know, I just chopped off a bunch of mine, so this is just to pull it back to make it easy for the headphones. Don't miss it, honestly. At least not yet. Let's see. So no Columbus Day law off. Isn't that against the law? No, there's no... a company can tell you to work when they want you to work, and you can choose to work there or not. That's America for you. There's no guaranteed holidays. I've had to work Christmas and Thanksgiving at other jobs and all that stuff. But I quit those places, and I'm not going back. It's going to take a lot to get me back into the service industry to actually like wait tables again. Ooh, I'd have to be on hard times.
Oh. I've never waited tables. When I was in high school and stuff, I worked fast food. That was enough for me.
That's the other side of the service industry, and then there's retail, that's its own beast.
Done that too.
Never properly did retail. It just like one year is hurry up and wait. Like you're really busy and then you're sitting there and waiting. I hear retail from people who've worked it for like long periods of time. It's just a drag. Like you're just every time you go into work, it's just boredom for hours. Let's see. Yep. Heron keeps her place at 72. Yeah, that's about where we keep it. Oh, and bus are in high school and college. Busing's not the worst because you don't really have to deal with the people, but it's work. It's just busy work all day. Oh, Daniel doesn't know what Columbus Day looks like. It's just another day that some people get off around here. We don't actually like celebrate anything on Columbus Day.
Yeah.
You know, some towns might do like a parade or something, but it's not making national news. But yeah, so today's topic, childhood adventures. Yeah. And this was your choice, so I'm going to let you lead off with...
Oh, dang it. Okay, so I wanted to do childhood adventures because, like, apparently people think I grew up Amish or whatever, so, you know, we need to talk about that. I'm not upset by that. But, I don't know, I had a lot of fun as a kid. And I feel like, especially because of the way I was raised, I guess I didn't grow up with a TV and stuff. But I work with kids and I look at them now and they I put these kids in the car with their parents and they've each got a screen in front of their face right away in the car. And I don't know, I'm just like, they don't know how to play and they don't have really great imaginations. And it's so weird to me because I just grew up with I guess I had a really rich childhood or something. Like I just remember playing all the time.
Man, the screens in the faces, I saw something yesterday that made me want to hate it. Made me hate modernity completely. I was watching Devil's Advocate on Tubi because I'm doing the 31 days of horror challenge for October and all that. So I was like, Devil's Advocate, I need like a nice dramatic movie from, you know, like schlocky horror and classic horror. I need something dramatic. So I'm watching that and it's on Tubi and you get commercials. And the very first commercial I get is for an app that if you get frustrated while trying to perform some task, like say putting together an IKEA cabinet and it doesn't work out, there's an app to tell you to take a walk. Because you need an app to tell you to take a walk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is it like attached to your watch and it like senses that your heart rate is rising or whatever, and then it's like you need to take a walk? It's so creepy.
I think it's like an app that walks you through taking a walk. I don't know. It seems useless to me. Like the idea of taking a walk is to like clear your mind and collect your thoughts and calm down a bit and come back with, you know, a new perspective and tackle your issue with, you know, new knowledge and a better attitude. You don't need an app to do that. So I'm sorry, tangent. It's just, it bothered me. It really bothered me. I went on like a 10-minute rant yesterday. Like, I'm watching it with my wife, and I had to pause the movie and rant because it baffled me. But yeah, sorry, to the topic, because I went off the rails there for a minute. Yeah, I was kind of saying the same thing to everyone. Like, I sort of grew up in especially from the ages of like 2 to 11. It was, very rural, but still, I was still in a suburb, but it was cut off from everything else. Like, it was like a 20-minute drive to the grocery store, which was in technically a different area. So.
No, because like my mom, I don't know if she ever like locked us outside, but like she put us outside. I was like, don't come back in. You need to be out here for at least an hour,
Yep.
And then we would get distracted and we'd be out there for like 2-3 hours, right? But like we had a swing set and we had a shed with our bikes in it, and we had chalk and we had whatever. And the rule was that you couldn't cross any roads, so we could ride our bike around the block. And we could see all our friends doing that, and we were just not allowed to cross any roads.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, it was like you find a cool enough stick, and the world is your oyster.
We had this stump in our front yard. It was a huge tree and cut down. It was like hollow in the middle, and we used to like make concoctions in there, like we were witches.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what we're doing, but
yeah. Like we would have snowball fights, and then in the summertime we would have mud fights. Like, and we got serious with some of those mud fights.
People threw mud at me. My brothers did that, not me.
Well,
it's just a little girl.
You go into it expecting to get hit with just a wad of mud. That's the point. In fact, you spent time digging up part of your friend's yard to build little barriers in the yard to then fill pits next to your barriers with water so you can make some good mud, get some nice solid mud in there. And yeah,
we had a friend that had these huge crabapple trees, and they didn't eat a lot of crab apples, but we would get these big rackets. They were like plastic. They were like tennis rackets, but they were thick plastic. And we would like throw crab apples at each other, and like to not get hit, whack them all.
I think I know the rackets you're talking about. Were they like neon green and orange?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And like you get like splats of crab apples on you. It's disgusting.
Yes.
Those
yes. Oh, that was so much fun. Yeah, I had a crabapple tree in my front yard after I moved from that area to Bowie, which was just outside of DC. Yeah, we had a crabapple tree right in the front yard. We didn't throw the crab apples very often because they tended to rot pretty quickly, and we just didn't want to smell like it or have like a big stain on us all day. But there were these bushes that had these little green and white seeds that would grow on them they were like kind of spiky, but not bad. But you could easily grab like a handful of them, and we'd just chuck them at each other. It only hurt a little bit. Like
only a little bit.
It was a quick, sharp sting, and then you're on with your day.
Okay, guys, what's the weirdest thing, chat, that you've ever thrown at your sibling or friend? Like the weirdest thing you've ever had a battle with,
Okay, a
Mud
battle
or food or like what?
Okay, I have a bad one. It wasn't a battle, and like I should feel bad for doing this, but I was like so young that I think my guilt has washed away over the years. But I hit a kid with a homemade stink bomb. Oh yeah, it was awful. There was like eggs and some hollandaise sauce and mayo and and we just threw stuff from the fridge in there, and then we left it out behind my buddy's shed for like 3 weeks. Yeah, I threw it at one of the kids in the neighborhood.
Ew, Steven!
I was like 12, okay? I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of this moment. But I did, in fact, do that.
Daniel says mud.
Oh, yeah.
Conquistador
I just
helmets?
wanted to throw that up. I would be all about Columbus Day if we wore conquistador helmets. That would be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, water balloons, super soaker fights, mud, a shower rod.
Shower rod.
Sister hit her with a shower rod.
Dang.
Luckily didn't do any damage. Man.
Ooh.
I mean, I
Wow.
did get hit with a baseball bat, but
Like purposely they chased you with it?
no, it was an accident. It hit me right here on the forehead, split my eyebrow open. I got stitches. I was fine. I think that was okay. That preceded the first time I had to talk to Child Protective Services.
Oh my, Steven.
Yeah, I got hurt a lot. I didn't need Child Protective Services, but when you go to the hospital 3 times within like a month and a half, they
Yeah,
talk
they
to
get
you.
suspicious.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah,
They get suspicious.
yep. And then
Oh,
the
man.
second time was specifically I had a bruise that so the first time was hit in the head with a baseball bat, chicken pox, and broken arm within like 6 weeks.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and so they talked to me and I just told them what happened and they're like, okay, he's just clumsy and has bad luck. The second time was I had a mark that normally shows abuse. It was a hand-shaped bruise right here on my arm. I was falling very quickly toward the ground after running down a hill, and my dad caught me. Like, it would have been much worse had he not caught me and put that
Yeah.
hand-shaped bruise on my arm. So yeah, they see that. The nurses call Child Protective Services. I tell them what happened. They're like, okay, everything's fine.
I had a kid once. I usually keep my nails pretty short, but they're a little bit longer. And I was working with this kid who they were falling. I grabbed them. I scratched them. They like a pretty large scratch. I was like, oh. When you do that with a kid and you like work with kids, there's so much paperwork. Oh my word.
Oh, I
You gotta
bet.
like take a picture and you gotta call the parents like this happened and oh my gosh. Anyway,
Man,
I hate it when
I
that
think-
happens.
when we were kids, like they would just tell your parents, like, yeah, they ran into
Right?
something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we gotta like take a picture and do the paperwork, and then the parent has to sign off on it, and we have to like call the parent immediately as it happens. And yeah, it's a whole deal. It's a
Man,
whole deal. Nowadays, it's like, yeah,
it's because everyone's sue happy. That's the worst part of it.
it's true.
Let's see. Daniel, an undisclosed person, broke his nose and with a found frisbee when he was 5, but his
Oh.
nose also broke the frisbee. Legit.
Whoa,
Legit.
dang.
Man, it's hard to break a 5-year-old's nose too. It's not quite as the cartilage
Yeah.
hasn't hardened a lot. You must have been hit pretty hard. Yeah. I mean, I've had my nose broken a couple of times, but I was like, I don't know, 15 the first time. Although I have been lucky. Every time it's been a clean, straight break. I haven't had to reset my nose before. Because I hear that sucks.
Okay. Question for everybody in the
Answer.
chat and you haven't heard a question yet.
I was doing the Jeopardy thing, Answer.
you are.
Daily double.
Oh my gosh. And now I lost my track.
I'm sorry. Question for the chat.
Question is. Oh yeah! Like tree forts or like any sort of fort structure that you built as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
What
I
was
know.
the best one you ever built? Like you built some sort of fort or something, right? As a kid.
We would do. Okay, it wasn't necessarily a fort, but there was a lot of bamboo that grew in the second city I lived in, Bowie.
Okay.
Bamboo, it's a weed. Once one person plants it, it goes everywhere. So
Really?
someone at some point in time in probably like the 50s or 60s brought some bamboo to Bowie, and by the time it was the early 2000s when I moved there, it was everywhere. There was tons of it.
Huh.
And so we would go through and hack down sections of bamboo within the the big clumps of it. and there was behind my buddy Scott's grandparents' house, which was a totally kick-ass house to hang out in, which is a side note, but behind his grandmother's house was a short field, I'd say probably about a half acre for their backyard, and then about 30 feet of bamboo and a river right after it. And this chunk of bamboo stretched for, along the entirety of the river, which led from the middle school I went to for probably about 2 miles down to a park. So large chunk of it. But yeah, we hacked down a bunch of the bamboo, and at one point in time we had 2 couches and a fire pit and an old mattress that we probably shouldn't have been using as furniture because we literally pulled it out of someone's garbage, but we were like 15. It didn't care because we could party there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We had that.
That's awesome. We had a lot of friends that had acreages and like lots of woods, and we would just go, and like our biggest deal was just everywhere we went, like we had just like forts everywhere, from the simple like, those survival like shelters they teach you to make,
like a lean-to.
We built all sorts of lean-tos, and then they always I don't know, all these farms and acreages, there's always wooden pallets, so we had like a wooden pallet fortress. And then we had there's this huge rock that we built like a fort on top of with like tree branches. Yeah. That was just on one property. So we had like multiple forts all over this property. Just because.
Yeah. If that sounds like an awesome thing to do as kids.
Oh yeah.
Just build a bunch of forts.
The best one though was my friend. He was also homeschooled. My brother and I hung out with him, and his dad is kind of a hoarder. He's one of those people that love to frequent auctions.
Oh, yeah.
And he would come home with the most random stuff, and his wife would just, like, literally, if you drove up to their property, you drive up the driveway, and you can see which side of the property she takes care of, and which side of the property she's given up on, and it's his, because that side is like the cow field, and then in the back of the cow field is like 5 different vehicles and just a bunch of junk.
Man.
And her side is just like pristine gardens and flowers and veggies and fruit trees. And
it's like Two-Face's house over there.
Yes. But anyways, he went and bought this huge load of lumber. It was so cheap, he just couldn't pass it up. And it wasn't like finished yet. It was like these rough hewn boards. And they were in a pile there, and they were there for like, they maybe been there for 2-3 years, and we were like 10 or 11. And he says to his dad, "We're going to build a fort. Can we use some of the wood?" And his dad's like, "Yeah, sure." We used all of the wood, and we built 2 tree forts, because there's a clump of 3 trees, a clump of 4 trees. And we built 2 tree forts.
Man.
Yeah. Because this man also had so many nails, and it was ridiculous. We took so much stuff we didn't even ask for, and he never missed it because there was so much junk.
He's not going to notice.
He's not going to notice. But this fort, our parents were like actually impressed with us, because they just were like, yeah, go, hammer wood. That's fine. Don't bother us. They're all having wine and tea, whatever. And they actually came up a few months afterwards. We're like, we finished the tree fort. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. We're like, we're going to show you. Okay. They're actually impressed. And they went and got, like, those big fishing nets, fisherman's nets?
Yeah.
They're huge. We tripled it over, put rope through it, and they helped us hang it, like, between. So we had this huge
like
net.
A rope wall?
Yes. And it was huge. It was super high. Like, we were doing crazy flips on it. Dude, this was the most coolest thing ever made in my life. And we were so proud. I don't have any pictures. Nobody took pictures. You didn't take a lot of pictures back then. You didn't take videos, because you don't have your phone on you. Like we do. Like you're just doing life. And I asked my mom, I was like, "Mom, do you have pictures?" And she's like, "I don't know. I have to look." But yeah, she couldn't get any to me. It was so sad, because it was literally the best thing. It was so awesome.
Yeah, because I remember you vaguely mentioned tree fort, so you didn't go into detail in it after the show last Friday as we were like
Yeah.
brainstorming stuff to talk about. And like my first question was there a rope ladder?
Oh
And you're like,
no,
no, it's better. And I was
it
like,
is
okay, so
better.
that yes, that is better. Like a rope wall going between the
Yes.
forts.
And it
That
was
is awesome.
literally like probably 5-6 feet on either side. It was just because they were afraid we are gonna kill ourselves,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, that's a big fall. Yeah.
It was. They had to put it high enough because it was in the cow field, and they didn't want the
Mm,
cow's horns to get stuck in there if they walked underneath. So
yeah.
that was awesome.
Man, that sounds like some like 80s movie, like 80s
Seriously.
coming of age movie thing. That's like Goonies or what's the one that had the actual tree fort? Monster Squad. There was an
I've
actual
never
tree
seen
fort in
that.
that. Oh, Monster Squad's good. It's
Okay.
imagine the Goonies except with the Universal monsters like Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Okay.
Wolfman. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But there was a tree fort in that, but that was where the Monster Squad would go and hang out.
Aw.
Yeah. Let's see. Heron broke her nose when she was 11. Cousin dove into a pool and hit his head.
Ugh. His
I have
head
a
hurt her nose. Ugh.
I have a story about a pool, and I could have broken some limbs doing this, but I didn't. I turned out fine. So my grandparents had saved up for a long time. My grandfather had a couple of like businesses that had failed over the years, and then eventually he started doing pretty well in the early 90s. He got into software like 1988 before software really blew up in the 90s. So by the time like 94 95 hit, like he just hit this big boom to where they were actually selling like, I can't even remember what it was properly, but I remember there were discs everywhere, just CD discs all over the place and floppies. And I know that he did pretty well in that. And he also was a partial owner at a lumber yard. And so like after years, he had finally started making some good money. And so he bought this old farmhouse that was totally awesome. It was 2 stories and a finished basement, and it was huge. It was this big ranch house that had, I mean, this place had to have had like, I think 7 or 8 bedrooms in it, not including the finished basement, which had its own bedroom as well. And it was on like the property itself was like 4 acres, but there was a pool there.
Ooh.
And it was woods all around. This was an absolutely gorgeous place. I wish that the family still had it. We no longer do, but it would be a place I'd love to go and retire. But there was an in-ground pool right by the house, and there was a what are they called? Not a proper ladder, but like a vine ladder that, you know, it's just supposed to have vines growing up it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Mm-mm-mm.
1/4-inch thick wood. There was also a tree right next to a corner of the house, so I would either climb the tree or climb up that little wooden knot ladder thing, get onto the roof, and then jump into the pool. and there's like probably a good like 5 feet of concrete that I have to clear. But you know, it's 2 stories, so it's like 20 feet up. You just get a bit of a running start and you jump in
How
the pool. You'll be
old were
fine.
you?
7.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, I was 7,
Oh
and
my gosh.
so from my grandmother's point of view, she's in the kitchen doing dishes, which looks out onto the pool area. And there's a little patio off to the side, and there's rose bushes, and it's a very beautiful, picturesque place. And she's just doing dishes, looking out at her wonderful pool that she's always wanted to have, an in-ground pool. And she sees my gangly 7-year-old ass go straight over her head and into the pool. And she comes running out, just, Bud, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm, what? You can't jump off the roof into the pool, but I just did. Like, what do you mean I can't do it? Like, you're gonna break your neck. Charlie showed me how to do it. My older cousin. It's like, Charlie showed me how to do it. She's like, well, I don't have to watch Charlie. He's old enough to deal with himself. Yeah. But that pool was awesome. Oh yeah. Yes, it was.
Sorry, I
Yes.
just realized I didn't tweet our stream out.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay, I just did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have some more people showing up. Let's see, I think we have some responses to your treehouse thing. Small Time Republic had a treehouse that a stray cat decided to have kittens in, which is both cool and gross.
Yeah.
I mean, stray kittens. That's pretty awesome. But then you gotta.
Oh, we
like,
always did that too.
yeah.
The same house where we built a tree house, they had this big barn and they
Mm,
had like so many cats. And we would just go in the barn and try and catch the cats. And like when the kittens were a little bit older, we'd try and catch them and tame them.
mm-hmm.
So much
Those are
fun.
just barn. Those are farm cats. Like that's its own breed of cat.
Seriously, they're so like, ouch.
Yeah. Let's see. In an undisclosed place where Daniel is from, they had a self-made fortress, which was originally abandoned equipment shed. Cool.
Oh, whoa.
Just like manifest destiny, someone's equipment shed. Like this is our fort now.
nice.
awesome. Let's see. As a kid, hell, even as an adult, always wanted a fully functional treehouse, right?
Did you know that in Austin, in the area I live, there are like actual tree houses that are like Airbnbs, and they've built these, and you can like rent them for a weekend or whatever, and it's a full adult tree house, you know.
Okay.
They got bathrooms, some of them, and everything.
Yeah.
But it's like
That's
you're
cool.
in a tree.
Yeah.
It's like a hotel in a tree. And you have this
Okay.
beautiful porch and stairs and
Mhm.
swings, and yeah.
I would still want it to be like at least somewhat sedentary. Like I don't get the idea of like glamping. Like get a cabin if you want to have walls. But
Mhm.
I never got the whole glamour camping thing where you go and like you're getting like massages and
Just go to a
mani
spa.
pedis. Right, it's a spa, but it's out in the woods, but you're not really outside doing things the whole
Yeah,
time.
no.
Like
That's-
I
to
never
me,
got
those are kind of dumb.
it.
But I
Yeah.
kind of thought that the actual tree houses were cool.
Mhm.
Heck, some people like make their houses like that.
Yeah. I really want to have a cabin one day. That is bucket list. When I'm older and rich, I want to have a cabin up in the woods, probably North Georgia, maybe somewhere in Tennessee,
Nice.
but I want a cabin. Let's see. It was quite a surprise when I stumbled upon them. Oh, the kittens, yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. On the other hand, the advantage of not having a camera around is not capturing all the embarrassing moments along with those few awesome moments.
That is so true.
See, for me, there's a lot of pictures from when I was a kid. Mostly grandma, but also my mom. They were very big on taking pictures and would regularly take the film to get developed. So
Oh,
there's boxes of photos in some family member's closet somewhere of a very embarrassing moments from Steven's childhood. I'm sure. I know I showed one last time we did the Just Chatting of me with the super 90s
Outfit.
Christmas sweater.
Yes.
Yes. There's worse ones. They let me dress myself from a young age, and I had zero fashion sense. First day in school, kindergarten, I wanted to wear a suit. It is a turquoise suit that I'm wearing, and I'm like 5 years old, and that was my church wear for like a good
That's
year.
funny. But you had
Oh,
to wear it
yeah.
the first day of school.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had
Obviously.
to. Yeah.
Did
it
you have
was-
a briefcase? I just want to know.
I want to say I borrowed a family member's like attaché, like
Oh
a
my
leather
gosh.
attaché case.
Nerd.
Oh yes, yes, I have always been a nerd. Nothing new for that. Oh yes, America's
Oh,
Funniest Home
yeah.
Videos. Oh yes. My impression sounded like Hank Hill. I'm not sure which impression. Oh, you talking about my grandma? No, that's how grandma. This is how grandmother actually talks.
Really?
Oh yes, she is from Oregon. She even says Washington.
No way.
Oh yes.
Please
Yep.
bring your grandma on the show.
Oh, grandma's awesome. Oh yeah, yeah.
Aw.
If I'm
Wait, is this the one that you said is a lush?
yes, this is the one who told her, hey, you told me to stop after pouring you 3 drinks, and she's like, I know how to count. Now pour the damn drink. Yes, ma'am.
Gosh.
Yes,
I wanna
grandma's
meet
awesome.
her.
Oh yeah, she's cool. She's cool. She is old though now. She's 77. Yeah.
Oh,
She's
wow.
she's a proper baby boomer, born in 1945. Proper boomer. Let's see. Used to watch them when I was a kid. Had a nice massage at the spa yesterday afternoon. Massages are awesome. I'm not knocking a massage. It's
I
just
don't like them. I don't like people
massage?
touching me. No.
Okay.
One time the hubby took me to like this spa, and it was like we were just doing this like couples weekend thing, and I'd never actually gotten a massage before. And I was like, oh, this will be nice. No, like I'm actually very ticklish, but I also don't like people I don't know touching me. And so like every time they would like, I was like tensing up every time I was like, okay, they're gonna touch me. Okay. Like it was awful. I was like more tense coming out than I was going in. My favorite part was when I got to sit in the sauna.
Saunas are also nice.
Yes.
I like a good massage, but I also don't like people touching me. So I kind of get that. It's just, I don't know. I guess when I go in for the mindset of the massage, like I prepare myself to just completely relax. And I mean, you have to like really like let all of your muscles go.
Yeah. No, I'm not good at it. Mm-mm.
Yeah. If you can ever get to the place where you can just relax and let someone give you the full on massage, it's a very nice experience afterwards. Just drink a lot of water afterwards. Like seriously, as soon as you get out, chug a whole bottle of water and have a few more throughout the day, or you're going to be so sore the following day. That's for a deep tissue though. Let's see, what do we have here? Have you ever wanted to see yourself back in the... No, nobody wanted to be... I don't know, some people probably wanted to be in America's Funniest Home Videos. Aaron did not, no. Let's see, somewhere a picture of Small Time Republic in a turquoise turtleneck, hammer pants, and a bowl cut while holding a hamster. That is what I'm talking about, Small Time. Yeah, my kind of man, that's right. Yes.
I love the hamster part.
Yes. Oh, I had several hamsters when I was a kid. There was a small graveyard of hamsters in the backyard.
Aww.
Not that I was doing anything to the hamsters. They just don't live particularly long.
Yeah,
so
no,
you have, yeah, if you want to have like 2 at a time, over the course of like 4 or 5 years, you get a small graveyard going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd always have to have like the full funeral for them and everything. Yeah,
Aww.
I'd make a little headstone, paint their name on it. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, massages are nice. But I get not like being touched. I totally get that. So, yeah, you have to go into the massage wanting the massage. Let's see. I believe it's not really wise to let little boys dress however they want because they usually dress in what practical and not that some... Yes, it's... yes, if young enough, they're going to go out in a loincloth. That's it. And Achilles Jones, thank you for joining us.
Achilles Jones. So yes, I am.
No, that's quite a picture. Yes. Oh, but adventures. So I had one in mind.
Tell us about your adventure.
I mean, there's a couple of smaller ones, but one that's not a particularly long one. But I remember it was my buddy John, who he came from a very difficult home, and so he would come over to my house and we would hang out because my parents tried not to fight when company was around, so it was a bit of a blessing for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
But he would come over to the house, we'd hang out for usually a few hours, and he'd go back home. He lived in a different neighborhood. But yeah, we were walking around one time, and where the bowl itself was, it kind of had 3 tiers to it. There was the upper layer, and then it would go down a little bit and plateaued off on one side where there was a lake, and then it went down to the bottom, which wasn't really the bottom, but it was the only safe place to go. And then that plateaued off, and then there was another layer that went way down, but that was seriously dense woods. You could not properly walk through. and it was full of literally full of snakes and spiders and animals and all sorts of stuff. You didn't go down there, but around these woods, there was a big trail that people would ride four-wheelers on. I didn't have a four-wheeler or anything like that, but John knew a guy who had a four-wheeler, so he came and met up with us. The whole thing had been planned ahead of time, and so the plan was we're going to go ride this four-wheeler all around this trail. And I was like, oh heck yeah, I've never been on one before. And so this thing doesn't have multiple seats. It's a single seat four-wheeler, but there's there's a rack on the back of it. Yeah. It's really meant for hooking a cooler to or something, but we're like, oh yeah, just sit on the rack and hang on. Mm-hmm. Well, I had just gotten a brand new pair of shoes, which when you're I might have been 10 years old at the time. A brand new pair of shoes when you're 10, those need to last you until you grow out of them. Because, my parents would try and get me good footwear, which meant they spent a decent amount of money on it. I needed to make them last. I had just gotten them. I can't remember what they were called, but they were a pair of DCs because I was into skateboarding at the time. They were not cheap, and I really liked them. They looked cool. But we're riding on the back of this four-wheeler, and the dude's going way too fast, and I'm not holding on very well, and I'm starting to slide. I'm vibrating on it. My butt's starting to slide off the rack a little bit, and I keep trying to readjust myself, and he's just going faster and faster. And so I say, I'm like, hey dude, you need to slow down, I'm falling off. And he thinks it's funny which it probably was, he's just like, oh yeah, you're falling off. And so he guns it really quick one good time, and I actually slide off the back of the four-wheeler. I have to turn around, and I'm now holding on to the back of this grate, this rack on the back of his four-wheeler, and just doing a full-on surf with my shoes. I'm sliding. I am skiing in mud and dirt and grass on my brand new shoes, and they get completely destroyed. And the guy notices after I'm almost being dragged for I don't know, it felt like forever. It was probably 10 seconds, but nonetheless, when you're going pretty fast on a four-wheeler, that's not a short distance. And yeah, so my brand new shoes got completely destroyed. Mom was pissed. Dad was pissed. Yeah. Also, I wasn't supposed to be riding on a four-wheeler. I didn't ask permission to do this.
Yikes.
Yeah. But oh well, I lived. I was fine.
The same kid we built the tree house at. He had 4 siblings that were 10 years older, so he was basically living as an only child. So he was kind of spoiled, right? He had a go-kart and from an auction, and a golf cart also from an auction.
Nice.
And we would drive this golf cart all over the farm, and I was a really bad driver, and I cannot tell you how many fence posts I knocked down on that stupid golf cart.
Nice.
Woman driver.
Wasn't gonna say it, but I was thinking it. Nice.
Man. Yeah, it was great fun. No, I don't have a lot of our adventures. It was more it ended up you got in trouble.
Yeah.
You're having a great time until you weren't.
Yep. Somebody gets hurt.
Break something. I broke an antique oil lantern.
Oh, yeah.
My brother and I and this friend, we were playing ball in the house.
So Brady Bunch.
We're okay, we should know better because we're 12, 13.
Yeah.
Playing freaking ball, and we broke this lamp, and it broke just as his mom walked in the door, and we're all she had us sweep and then get on our hands and knees and scrub her floor. That was our punishment.
Sorry about that. Could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah. That's the thing now. Did you have anybody in the chat too? Did your friends' parents ever punish or discipline you?
Oh yeah.
Because can you imagine doing that to somebody's kids nowadays?
Doesn't happen. but it was a thing. It was a thing. Now, parents couldn't, like, other people's parents couldn't beat you. That was where it got too far. But, I mean, timeouts, yelling at you, making you do chores, any of that stuff. Oh, yeah, totally. And then they would tell your parents about it later on, and then you'd get the same punishment twice.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, hitting other people's kids, that was off limits. That wasn't cool. I mean, back in, like, the 50s, you could get away with that, but no, not in the 90s. But, oh, yeah. Discipline? Shoot, yeah. I mean, my mom ran it was not like a big daycare or anything, but she, to make money on the side, would babysit other kids while I was growing up. So I got every sickness there was, because there were other people's kids in the house playing with me. And, oh, yeah, there was always punishments for them, too. And then when she got a job a few years later and I was going to daycare with other people, you break something, you just break a rule, right? Like, you cuss. And it's, heck, my mom would send me with the he's not allowed to cuss bar of soap that was used on me, that she purposefully found the most disgusting tasting soap she could absolutely find in the entire store. She was going through the grocery store, opening up the soap and tasting it.
No,
which was the worst. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, she was trying to be very sly about it, but she's just. Ooh. Yeah, she found a horrible one. It was Disney made it. It had Aladdin on the front of it. Came in this little blue plastic case. It was not it was like a travel bar. But it was just a plain white bar of soap, and it tasted so bad. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yes. Got a good question here from Small Time. Anyone have a particularly scary accident as a kid? So I was... Oh, you got one?
Okay, go first.
I was in a car accident when I was 7 it was a fairly bad car accident, but I was 7, so I didn't get hurt too bad. I had a bit of whiplash, and I actually I had bed rest for 3 days that I had to do. Like, doctor actually came and saw me and said, stay in bed for 3 days, wear a neck brace and everything. My aunt and her ex-husband, but my uncle John at the time, they were going to take me he was in the National Guard. And he was going to take me to the armory, and I was going to get to shoot guns at the National Guard armory and stuff, because they had a whole range there. And I'd only shot a 22 rifle and a couple of other not particularly large guns, but it was I was going to get to shoot a military grade M4, not on full auto or anything, but I was going to get to shoot some military guns, and it was going to be awesome. And he wasn't going to let me throw any grenades or something, but it wouldn't be fragment grenades, but flashbangs and stuff like that. He was going to throw some, and I would be there. So we're on our way. We're right outside the frickin' armory. We're right there. Just have to turn in, and somebody behind us isn't paying attention. We get over into the turn lane and slow down to a stop because there's traffic coming the other way. Guy behind us just isn't paying attention and slams right into the back of the car. I'm in the back seat. My uncle, who's not a small guy, he's 6'4", and at the time was in pretty good shape because he was still in the military. So probably about 6'4", about 240 pounds. Big guy. His car seat goes straight back onto me. The latch on it breaks, and he slams right into my lap. So luckily it was just bruising, but I had bruising on my upper thighs, and then I had whiplash from that. So there was that. I had other accidents, but nothing that was particularly scary. That was one of the few that when it registered, I actually had the shaking kid cry. At the time, yeah, but at an age where the shaking kid cry was probably beyond what I should be doing, but I was, after it registered, I was 8, maybe 9 years old at the time.
Oh, bye, Heron.
Oh, Heron's got to go. Have a good one, Heron.
See you later.
Bye. And lots of goodbyes for Heron. All right, what's yours?
I was sledding down this hill, and my dad, we had a station wagon. You know, the ones with the fake wood paneling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it have the big door in the back with the wraparound
Yes.
seat? The 13-seater mega station wagons? Those things were awesome.
Well, no, it didn't wrap around. It was like it would flip down or up, and you like you'd be facing backwards.
Yes.
You sat back there. Yeah, I had that one. Not the wraparound, but yeah.
Okay.
But
still a cool station wagon.
Right? You could fit like two, 3 people back there, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think you could fit 3. Yeah. Anyway, so he had parked like way off the side of the hill, like way off, and near the bottom, and we were all sledding down, and the sled I was on, whatever reason, just kind of veered, and I had it straight for a station wagon. You know, station wagons are like low, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're low, and so I'm sitting in this sled, headed to this, and I was like 6 or something. I didn't know how to steer. I was just sitting there, and the station wagon's coming up, and I went right under, and it went like this, like right here, and I got stuck under the station wagon. I could hear it, people around me like freaking out, and my mom is like yelling, and they pulled me out, and they completely expected my face to be like a disastrated mess, right? Because that's all they saw from behind. But it like literally just barely touched my nose. They took me to the hospital and everything because they were freaking out. They're like, no, she had to have smashed her face because it was such a low vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't I don't know. Barely smashed this.
Kids get lucky. They do the dumbest things and they get lucky. They bounce. I don't know what it is with kids. They're made of flubber or something. See, Achille Jones was sliding with his brothers on a frozen lake. Walked onto thin ice and cracked and fell in. I got a story about falling into a frozen lake. I didn't do it because I knew better. But my cousins, particularly Charlie, the one who taught me to jump off of the roof into the pool, and his older brother John, they came to stay with my mom and dad and myself for a summer one year because family issues. I mean, nothing like super bad or detailed, but it's other people's business. I don't want to bring it up. Don't know why I'm bringing it up now. They came to stay with us for a summer. Let me just get to the point. Sorry, not a summer. It was during a winter. But they came to stay with us for probably about 3 months. And, winter time comes around, but it's the first freeze. And so the lake is frozen, but they were from like the almost Canada, middle of the north. I can't remember exactly where, but almost Canada. So the first freeze there, the lake's fairly solid. Not in Maryland. You don't trust the first freeze. You wait till the second one, and then you grab a big, huge rock and throw it onto the lake. And if the rock stay near the edges. Like this was a big enough lake. You don't go toward the middle because you might fall through. But it's the first freeze. And I can tell by looking at the ice, this isn't solid. You don't want to go on it. And so my mom had also told them the lake isn't safe to walk on. It's not like where you're from. Stay off the ice. We're just walking past the lake, and they decide, let's go walk out onto it. And I'm like, no, you guys don't want to do this. And these also aren't small kids. Charlie and John are big guys. Now they're, maybe like 12 and 14 at the time. But like nowadays, Charlie is 6'7", and Jimmy is, did I say John? John's their dad. Jimmy, the oldest. Jimmy is 6'5". Not small guys. Yeah, I'm the runt of the litter in my family at 5'11", 6 foot. I'm the small guy. So yeah, they're big kids. They get onto the ice. I'm telling them it's a bad idea. You don't want to do that. I'm maybe 8, 9 years old. You don't want to do that. Get off the ice. Oh, we'll be fine. We know what we're doing. And of course, they crack and fall into the ice. It cracks. They fall in. They're trying to get to the edge, and the ice is cracking underneath them. I was like, just keep swimming this way, guys.
Oh my gosh.
And so we show back up at the house, and they're soaked to the bone, shivering. I'm fine. I have zero problems going on with me. It was like, I knew better. I told them.
But your mom was so pissed.
Oh yeah. They had to clean them, take off all of their clothes outside because we didn't have like a we didn't have a mud room in the house for you to take your clothes off. So you're getting dressed outside and then get undressed out there, and then you can come inside in your underwear and then take a hot shower.
Wow.
Yep. Yes. Let's see. Oh, I think this is on the subject of beating people's kids. Yes. Back in the day, hell yes. But nowadays, when the new generation of parents are so sensitive, can't really punish others' kids. Seems to be nowadays only a few people teaching accountability to kids. Yes, I would agree.
It's true.
Yep. It's the new soft parenting. The worst is the people who don't say no to their kids. Children need boundaries. Look, I don't have kids. I'm not going to tell you how to raise them, but they need boundaries, and they subconsciously they want it. Yes.
Psychologically, studies have shown that if you are not parenting your child, it gives them anxiety and stress, and then they have issues as an adult. Statistically, the facts are out there. So just saying. No, I work with kids on the spectrum, so they have issues, but because they have certain issues, then their parents are even less inclined to say no because they don't want to deal with the behavior, or they have guilt or something. Yeah, I had a kid today. I took him out of the car, and he didn't want to bring his lunchbox in. I was like, it's lunchtime, you're bringing your lunchbox. And he started screaming, and Mom's like, oh, okay, I won't get it. And I was like, oh no, get his lunchbox. He's going to bring it in. You can say, okay, Miss Megan, you're bringing it in. He goes, okay, Miss Megan. I was like, that's right. I'm in charge here. And his mom was like, and I was like, woman, put your foot down. I didn't tell her that, but I just want to be like, from the get-go, I don't let kids walk all over me. So they listen. Like,
you gotta be the boss. You gotta come in and be like, I'm the boss. I'm in charge. You're gonna do what I say, whether or not you like it. And it sounds paradoxical, but it's really not. And like you said, all the studies show it. You give a child boundaries. You give them rules. When they follow the rules, they will notice that things turn out better for them. When they break the rules, they get punished. You don't have to go overboard with the punishing or anything like that, but there needs to be consequences for actions that were not set up. They wind up in a much better place overall, and it may take them time to appreciate it. It may take years for them to appreciate it, but they are better off, psychologically, emotionally, all sorts of ways, just from having the boundaries set up. And the younger you start, the better it winds up being. Let's see. Small Time Republic. When he was 10, Dad would let him steer while he drove the car in the interstate. Not the smartest move. I didn't get to steer. I got to shift the gears. That was my job. Yep. I think my dad just wanted to have a hand free so he could drink. That's honestly, I think, he was having a beer while driving, and so he wanted to have that hand free to occasionally do that 12-ounce curl.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That would be so frowned upon nowadays.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm counting CPS.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's... Well, yeah, I totally got to shift the gears. It was awesome. I got good at it, too. Like, he didn't have to tell me where I needed to shift. I would I would see that right knee, or the left knee, go down, pushing the clutch, and I'd shift it in for him.
Oh, man. I miss driving. I, have a... automatic now. I miss actually driving a car.
Yeah, having the manual.
My first car, it was manual.
Oh yeah, I have a manual. My past 2 cars have been manual since I was 20. Since I've been 20, I've been driving a manual. In fact, I got a bitchin' deal on my current car. It's a Hyundai Elantra, 2014 Hyundai Elantra. I paid $4,000. No, sorry, $8,000. $8,000, not $4,000. $8,000 for it. But it only had a little bit under 50,000 miles on it at the time, and it was very well taken care of. The Carfax report showed, had regular checkups and everything. But it's a 6-speed manual. Nobody wanted to buy a manual, so the guy bought it for $7,500, and it sat on his lot for 6 months, and nobody wanted it. So they were just like, here, we'll sell it to you for $8,000. We're only making a little bit on it. It's like, shoot, yeah.
I so want a car that's manual. I'm so sad I didn't because this car was the first car I ever bought. Like, this was my first car, and it cost me like $5,000 cash. I paid cash for it, and it was all the money that I'd saved since I'd been like babysitting, working McDonald's, and teaching, like dance and what was I doing? I don't know, like all those like things, right? I had a paper route. Did I say that? No.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Classic paper route.
I had a paper route. Yeah,
nice.
All of us kids had a paper route.
Nice.
And that's how we earned our money before we were old enough to like go work fast food. And I saved all this money over the years, and I bought my first car. And my parents' rule was, we're going to teach you to drive, but you're going to learn to drive manual. And your first car, we will help you like buy it or pay insurance, but it has to be manual. Like, that was the deal. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I just wanted, and I miss driving it. Like, it's so
very
fun.
nice. Yeah. Oh yeah. I learned on an automatic, but later. When I was 20 and I moved down to Georgia, and my parents were like, well, if you want to drive a car, you're going to be driving the Mitsubishi, which is a manual, so time to learn. And
I house sat for these people that had a Suzuki.
Oh.
Like one of those Jeeps, the Suzuki.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like 4-wheel drive, but like to make it into 4-wheel drive, you have to get out and like turn the
actual turn of yeah.
Oh, I love driving
nice.
that thing too. Oh, it was a beauty. I loved house sitting for them because they're like, "Do you want us to leave you the Suzuki?" And I was like, "Yes, please."
yes, I do.
You can leave that for me.
Oh man, my wife's car, when we first met and we were just dating, she was driving a 91 Saturn sedan. It was a very small, compact, just a Saturn. There was technically like a make to it or a model, but it just said Saturn on it. That thing was as basic as a car can get. It had air conditioning, which was nice, but it did not have power steering. It did not have power windows. You had to actually crank the window up, and it had a tape deck. And it didn't even have a CD player or anything like that. A tape deck.
Man.
Oh yeah. And so one of my buddies who was staying with me he'd lived with me for about a year, rented one of my rooms, and he had this car that the power steering went out in it, and he's just like, man, my shoulder hurts from having to drive that car without the that power steering went out, and it's just so hard to steer. And immediately my wife's sitting there, she was drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette, and just goes, pussy. She's like, no, it's hard to steer. She's like, I drove a car for like 10 plus years that didn't have power steering. Pussy.
That's awesome.
Got a couple of comments here. Oh yes, let's see. Yes, they are not parents. They are
so
friends
disgusting.
now. You don't do that. Be a
That's
parent.
what happens when your kids are adults and you become friends.
Yes,
It's
I can
not
now
when
be
they're
friends
children.
with. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that when I hit like my 20s and I bought my own house, that's when my
Right.
parents became my friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Until then, they were setting up rules, and I had to follow those rules.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Miss Megan rules with an iron
Yes, I
fist.
Yes, I do.
Nobody walks over Megan. You hear me? Oh, we got a Phil in here. How's it going, Phil?
Phil! Hi, Phil.
Lots of people saying hi to Phil. Yes, never able to use or even seen a car with an automatic. Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I've been in automatics. So whenever I drive an automatic, I don't know if this happened to you when you first switch, I have to take my left foot and tuck it like all the way back behind the seat so I don't stomp the brake thinking I'm hitting the clutch. I did that with my grandma in the car because I was driving. She doesn't see very well at night. This was 10 years ago or so. She doesn't see well at night, and I'm driving her car. I can't remember where we're going to, but I forgot that it's an automatic, and we get to a light, and I'm supposed to just be slowing down, which I was with my right foot. Move that from the accelerator to the brake. Right foot's just slowing down. But because I'm slowing down, I think I need to hit the clutch, and I just stomp the brake with my left foot because you really
Yeah,
depressed the clutch all the way down. Yeah. And so that was a very immediate, what the hell, bud?
I don't press the clutch, but I still sometimes reach for the gear stick. I'm like, oh yeah, what am I doing? Oh.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, no, I constantly drive. I usually drive with two hands, but yeah, it's natural to just have my right hand rest on the shifter knob. Let's see. Current truck has roll-up windows. Everyone at work makes fun of me for it. You know what? You don't have to worry about the motor going out in those windows.
Also, if you, for some reason, end up in a lake, it's going to be way easier for you to escape.
Right?
I hope that never happens to you, but I'm just saying.
I've never thought about that, but that is true. You can just, you just got to crank it.
Exactly.
You don't have to sit there hoping
because you only have so much time for those power ones to work if your car goes into water.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
They tell you like you have to roll your windows down ASAP if you hit water and are sinking. And most people are panicking and don't think, sorry.
Yeah.
Horrible thought. I'm sorry. That got dark.
No, hey, that is a PSA. That is public service announcement. If you drive your car into a lake like a Kennedy, you need to immediately start rolling those windows down. Let's see. Roll up windows, old school. I actually like it better when there's less electronic parts in the car. Yeah. Yep. And another buddy of mine, he had a car that was even more basic than my wife's car, for her first car. His was a Toyota Tercel that was specifically made in Japan, not for him, but the guy who he bought it off of, to be the most basic car possible. It did not have air conditioning. It did not have power steering. It had roll-up windows. It was a 5-speed manual. It also did not have a passenger side mirror, because those are optional on cars. If you weren't aware, you do not have to have a passenger side mirror. And it's not like it was taken off. It was made without it. Yeah.
Weird.
That is.
I didn't know that. I don't know how I didn't know that.
Everyone has a passenger. I didn't know it until he had that car. I thought you had to have the passenger side mirror, and then I said something to him. He's like, "No, it's not actually required."
Weird.
Also, kitty. Yes. So Small Time Republic is aware of escaping from the water. Yes.
You know.
See, I usually just, I always have a knife or something on me, so that's what I always think of. Like, this one's got a, nice sharp edge at the back of it. I could just, crack the window. I used to actually carry one that had actually, I got one here that has actually has a glass breaker. On the bottom of it, yeah.
Nice.
This is my super cheap switchblade. It's not a good knife. This is like $10 from a gas station. Yeah. I usually try to keep a glass breaker or something just in case. At the very least, cut the seatbelt with. Yeah. I haven't thought about that, and I'm usually I get paranoid about some of those survival situation things and try to think about them ahead of time. So yeah, rolling down the windows if I ever hit water, that's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My brain thinks that way, but that's how I was raised, especially because we spent so much time camping and in the wilderness. And in Canada, it's not like the States. When you drive from one town to another, there is an 80 to 90% chance you're going to drive through countryside and you're not going to see a soul. There's no gas stations. You're not going to have cell service, or it's going to be pretty iffy. There is literal wilderness between this town and this town. Whereas here in the States, I feel like every town just melds into the other and melds into this farming community, melds into this small town, melds into this city. There's long stretches of wilderness in Canada between cities and towns and stuff. So it's you have to be prepared to help yourself if something happens. My dad made us all have a blanket, some sand, a shovel, in the back of our car.
Yep. Oh yeah, I keep all that stuff too. I always have a backup
Oh,
jacket,
jumper
even though
cables. Yeah, yeah.
jumper cables.
First
One
aid
thing
kit.
I need to get another one. I don't have a first aid kit in the car. I do have a bug out bag though, so I have a first aid kit in the
That's
bug out
smart.
bag. Yeah, this like literally, I could pick up this bag and survive in the woods for at least a week,
Nice.
just off of what's in the bag. Yes.
Yeah, my brother-in-law
it's-
has one of those in each of their cars too.
I'll probably never use it, but you know what? I'd rather have it, not need it.
Mhm.
You know, one of those things. But I'll say there are still parts of America that very much still stretches of wilderness in between. Like where I grew up, you know, formative years. That's what
Is
it
that
was
like more like the almost like the flyover states area, sort of?
I imagine so. I haven't really been to too many of the flyover states. I've been to Kansas once, but I was there for like a month. And I was doing other stuff when I was there. I wasn't like just driving around from town to town. Typically, it's just you're going to get to rural areas that have it. Like where I grew up in northern Maryland, like almost Pennsylvania, Frederick County, which is much different now. It's
Mhm.
much more developed now. But when I was a kid, it was our neighborhood. Well, it was a fairly large neighborhood itself, but it was that, and then like 20 miles, you'd get to where the mall was, and there were a couple of smaller neighborhoods around that. And then like another 10 to 15 miles, you would get to the city, and there's, you know, between that is just stretches of woods. And then north of us was just woods
Mm.
until you got to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was just woods. Or North Georgia, where I lived, you know, I don't live in North Georgia. I live more in the middle. But North Georgia, it's small town stretch of wilderness. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I do like North Georgia. That's typically where I go when I want like a nice vacation. I go up there, get a cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of
awesome.
touristy towns though. A lot of
Mm.
tourist towns.
I feel like it just feels. I mean, I also haven't been a lot of places in the States, but it just feels like there's less of that
Mhm.
because Canada is actually so large and spread out.
Mhm.
Much more spread out than down here in the States,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, especially if you go past that like small band of Canada where everybody lives.
Yeah,
It's
that's
pretty
actually
cool.
close to the U.S. border. You go up, and
Yeah.
it's like you're in the wilderness.
There's
That's
nobody
it.
there,
Literally, there's nobody.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn to live with the wolves. That's the
Mhm.
way it is.
Oh yeah. Ooh, and those winters have got to be rough. Like way up, like out in the actual Yukon. Oof.
Oh no, I don't want to be up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, people up there jump off their roofs into the snow because the snow gets so high it almost touches the roof.
Yeah. Oof.
That's when it's okay to jump off the roof, Steven.
I learned eventually. I was jumping into the deep end of the pool at
That's
least.
good.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I've even done like cliff jumping before. Actually,
I have too. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, cliff jumping's awesome. I did do one that was a little bit sketchy though. I was up in New Hampshire, and one of my cousins up there was like, "Oh yeah, I know this great spot. We can go cliff jumping and everything." And we get there, and he's like, "Just make sure you get a good running jumping start, because the water's only like 5 feet deep for like the first 10." This was a big cliff. This wasn't a small cliff. This was quite the sizable jump. And he's like, okay, the water's, you know, it gets deeper when you get out of it. There's like a cliff
God.
that drops off, and it gets deep enough to safely jump in, but don't go straight into the water. You're going to want to like be tucked up at least a little bit, or the second you hit the water, tuck up into a ball so you don't just go straight down. You know, you don't.
Oh,
just
that is sketchy.
Yeah, it was.
Because that's a
sketchy.
lot for people to think about. Tuck up when I hit the water. Because
Yep.
people are panicked. Because if you don't do it very often, or you haven't done it before, your body kind of goes into this like adrenaline rush panic mode, depending on who you
Mhm.
are, and you're not going to be able to think, I need to tuck up, or I need to, yeah.
Yep. But it wound up being a
No.
lot of fun.
The cliffs I've jumped off are like straight into deep water, like deep
Yeah.
water. Have you done whitewater rafting?
I have done whitewater kayaking.
Oh,
Never
that's
gone
probably
rafting.
Even more cool.
It's pretty fun. I was level 1 and 2 certified, which means I took a very basic course on that. Levels 1 and 2 are not the crazy whitewater, but yeah, I've done that for kayaking. I haven't done like the nuts like level. I think it's level 4 is pretty nuts, and then I think level 5 is the highest level of whitewater, and that's like crazy. That's you're getting flipped around inside of the raft, and you might get strapped in to the thing. I've never done that. I've done 1 and 2 and a little bit of level 3. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, whitewater is tons of fun. Actually, I used to do a lot of kayaking when I was younger. That was I never owned my own kayak, but anytime I'd go on like vacation up to New Hampshire, we were on a lake. I'd always go and rent a kayak for the week we were there.
Yeah. I've done that on lakes, like kayak or canoe on a lake. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's a childhood adventure I can bring up. I was a teenager at the time, but still, it counts. My buddies and I took a midnight canoe trip one time. Like, we're just driving around, and this was a thing we did when I don't know, like 15 to 17. My buddy John had a car, which was awesome, right? As soon as your friend gets a car, it's like, we're in it now.
Oh, yeah. You're so cool.
Oh, yeah, and it was this tiny little compact Ford Escort, also a manual. But nonetheless, that thing was pure freedom. It was amazing. And so he would come and pick us up, and we would generally throw him a couple of bucks for gas, but he would just drive us around all night long, unlike school nights, when we should not have been doing this. But one night, someone gets the random idea of like, hey, out on the peninsula, in Maryland, I don't know if you're familiar with the shape of the state, but it has like a peninsula there where you have Delaware is right there.
Okay. I haven't. Okay. I'm not really sorry.
Yeah, you don't know American geography. It's cool. Well, Maryland, essentially, right in the middle of the Atlantic side, there's a big peninsula, and then it's the rest of the state. And you actually have to drive across a bridge called the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. So you go across the bay, get to the peninsula known as the Delmarva Peninsula for Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. But they're like, oh yeah, out on the Delmarva, we can go. I know this small little pond. We can go kayak, or we can go. There's kayaks and canoes there, and I know the people who own them, so it's totally cool for us to use it at night. And yeah, at like 2 a.m, we just take this random trip, like an hour-long drive. So we get there at 3 a.m. to just go kayaking and canoeing in the middle of the night on this completely abandoned lake.
Wow.
Where we partook in some leafy green substances, and I remember specifically because these were a new thing that had just come out. It was clear blunt wraps that you could see through, and so we're out on it was a 2-man kayak that I was on with my buddy James, and he and I are smoking our own clear blunt that it's the whole thing was it'll look like a floating piece of weed, and so we're having that, and then there's like 3 people in a canoe next to us. We're splashing each other with water and stuff. And that was a good time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was the folly of youth when we didn't care and we didn't need sleep. Speaking of, someone's turning into a pumpkin.
Sorry. It's not even 9:30, man.
Oh, man. Let's see. Got a couple of comments here. Reminds me of when Michael and Dwight in The Office voluntarily drives into the lake because blindly following the GPS. I have not gotten into The Office. I want to. I've seen several clips of it. I've seen the occasional episode here or there. I need to just buy like a DVD box set of it because I don't want to spend monthly amounts of money for Peacock, the NBC service. Let's see. Got to drive through Wyoming a couple of times. Wyoming has nothing. There's nothing in Wyoming. Let's see. Has anyone seen the short clip where Karen yelled at the bear not to eat her kayak? Bear, 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 do not eat my kayak. Do not break my kayak. I have not, but I want to see that now.
I have not seen that.
I have not.
Oh man.
Speaking of shorts, though, gonna do a bit of self-shilling for us here.
Oh, okay.
I
do
have
it.
been putting out daily shorts on this
Did you
channel.
have?
Yes. So if you want to get some very short, under 60-second reviews of horror movies, let's see. I've been putting out one a day. Gonna do one a day for the entire month of October. Today I put out Frankenstein, the 1931 Boris Karloff Frankenstein. So you can catch that. And I try to actually do like a decent review in the very limited time. Let's see. Don't watch the later seasons without Michael Scott. Yeah, that's what people say, is that like particularly the last season of The Office kind of peters out a bit, but then the last episode brings it all back. That's what I've been told. But I couldn't say. Well, did you have any other stories you wanted to share?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Yeah. I think we had a good...
fun.
Yeah, this has been fun. Just reminiscing on old times. Nostalgia. Yes, yeah, Daniel's blocked out the memories of those last seasons. You know, there's a lot of shows like that they just peter out toward the end. One of my favorites, Star Trek Next Generation, the final season is known for having what they call season 7 snoozers, because there's just a couple episodes there that are not great. But then you get to the last episode and it's amazing. It's this fantastic season ender that just wraps everything all together and brings it full circle from the first episode, which is wild, and who does that? But yes. Nonetheless, I suggest everyone watch Star Trek Next Generation. Great show. Let's see. You should definitely watch the original Office with Ricky Gervais. I like Ricky Gervais. I think he's hilarious. His stand-up has been great lately, too. I have not watched it. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, cool. Yeah, we've had like a solid hour and a half here of just chatting. Been nice, reminiscing old times. Got to get that nostalgia hit.
That's what we like over here.
yeah, we're all about that. Getting that nostalgia dopamine hit. Yeah. What do you have going on?
I have a comic book review on Sunday. I'm going through Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. A couple of things. I got my ISOM.
Oh, nice.
The Rippaverse. So I got my copies A and B in.
You doing a
Yeah, I'm gonna review
video?
those on Wednesday. I already opened it.
Oh, okay.
I
I didn't know
was
if you were gonna do a
excited.
video of
No, I'm gonna read it and do a review on Wednesday.
Nice.
And then Monday's Manga Mondays. So I'm doing Demon Slayer. Yes, I did, Daniel. And then yeah. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Thursday I'll be Weebs and Waifus.
Yeah, I was
Friday
gonna say
back
it
here.
sounds like Ivan's got you doing manga now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I tried getting into manga when I was a teen. I got into it a little bit, just didn't last for me. I read some Dragon Ball when I was very young, probably like 9, 10, 11. Read a few things, but just didn't get into it.
Yeah, I really like the Demon Slayer, and somebody else suggested
that's
Witch Hat. I think it was Daniel actually, and some other people suggested Witch Hat Atelier, and the art looked fantastic.
Yes,
So.
Some of it does have some truly impressive art. I've seen some stills from Berserk, some very very gory but very impressive art from
People
Berserk.
have mentioned that one too.
Yeah, I've heard Demon Slayer is really good, and
It is. The
I have a couple
anime
of-
is also supposed to be really good, but I haven't seen it yet.
I've also heard Goblin Slayer is it's hit and miss for some people. My friends like it because it's just a very surface level basic fantasy tale is what they're telling me, and that's just kind of what they wanted. Like one of my
Right.
friends was big into Western comics, but he doesn't like the direction they've gone. He's like, I just want a fun story. And so Goblin Slayer's been a nice, fun, just fantasy tale for them to read.
Nice.
But yeah, what do I have going on? Let's see. Sunday, I'll be on Ord's World, his second channel, for the Sunday morning podcast, which is really noon for me, but nonetheless, it's always a good time. Kind of like this. We just talk about old stuff, very much nostalgia hits. Also, it'll be my birthday Sunday, so there's that. Yeah.
Oh, happy
Yep.
early birthday!
Yes,
I'm gonna have
thank
to jump
you,
in the
thank
stream
you.
then. Then
Yes.
bug you both a bit.
Yeah.
Not jump in the stream, just in the chat. I'll jump in the chat.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
what I
be on.
meant.
And if I can get to it, I would like to, even if it's a short birthday stream, just do like a short, hey, it's my birthday. Maybe play
Yeah.
some games or something.
Do it.
Yeah, I'd like to do that Sunday. Hey, Small Time Republic's birthday is tomorrow.
Happy
Got-
birthday.
Got my fellow Libra. Oh yeah, and one day before mine. Solid timing. October 8th is a good day. But not quite off October 9th, in my personal, very biased opinion. Let's see, then Tuesday, I will be on Drew's channel, Supreme Heretic, for stuff. And will you be?
Is that Tuesday? I can't even remember.
Yes, I believe so. The
It
11th?
is that Tuesday. If it's the 11th, I will be there.
Yes, Megan will be
it's
our guest.
on my calendar.
Nice.
This is why I have things on my calendar. I get my alert like the day before. So like honestly,
Yeah,
I can't keep that stuff in my memory.
me neither.
People are
I
like,
do the
Megan,
same
you're going
thing.
on my live stream. I'm like,
Am I?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Oh yeah.
So yeah, special guest for United Resistance. All these names trying to keep up with. But Tuesday,
Mhm.
United Resistance on my buddy Drew's Supreme Heretics channel. Come by and see that. I know we'll see Small Time Republic there. You're there every week, man. And then back here Friday. But every day I'll be putting out more shorts, so pay attention to this channel because I'm putting out a new movie review short every single day. I've also been posting them on the Twitter and on my Instagram, which I really don't use Instagram much, I'll admit. But I'm putting them there, so if you want to see them, they're available on multiple platforms. Let's see. Okay. So Daniel asking if I finished playing Dead Space. I gotta be honest, I can't do horror games. I was trying to. People were amused by it. It legitimately like sparks my anxiety, and I can't deal with it. I can watch horror movies, I can read horror books, I can tell scary stories. There's something about the
But you
immersion
can't
of the
do
games.
the game.
I can't do the games.
That's
It
so
was
funny.
it was messing with my sleep schedule. Like I could not do it. It was legitimately causing problems for me.
Aww.
It's not that I'm like too bad in the moment, it's afterwards. I don't know what it is. It messed with me, so I had to stop doing that. I don't know what I'll be playing Sunday. Either doing some more Pokemon, been doing the Ironmon challenge, or who knows, maybe I'll play something else. I play what I feel like playing. I don't do like the start to finish Let's Plays or anything. Let's see. Will not congratulate in advance here in Germany. It brings bad luck, superstitiously speaking. Ah, interesting.
Dang, I
Did
didn't
not
know that.
know that. Yes. And Phil coming in
Phil,
right
you've
at the end,
returned
Phil.
just in time to say goodbye.
Yes. Well, this has been a good time. I've enjoyed talking about childhood adventures. And next week, Lost Boys. Lost Boys. Yes. So we will go ahead and watch it. If you haven't seen it before, it is worth the view. Trust me, go watch Lost Boys. It's technically a horror movie. If you're not into horror movies, it's not super scary or anything like that, but it's a lot of fun. Well cast, well acted. It's got the Coreys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. You got to have the Coreys. So give that a watch, and we'll see you then. Yeah. Yes. Don't have an outro for this one, so I guess we're just saying bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.